Welcome to Comms Business Live with me, David Dungay, editor and publisher of Comms Business Magazine. Today I have with me Keith Jackson from 8x8. We're going to be talking about the market, his view on the current state of affairs, and maybe a little bit of a view into the future, what Keith can be coming. Keith, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me. For those people that may not know you, 8x8, do you want to give us a quick overview of yourself, your role within the business, and 8x8 itself?
Sure, thanks very much, Dave. So thanks very much for having me. My name's Keith Jackson. I run channels for EMEA for 8x8. I report into John Delosia, who's our global channel chief. 8x8 is an organization that sells a single communications platform for voice, video, CPaaS, and contact center, which makes us quite unique in this world. And being a channel-first organization, I've been with the company 9-10 months now. The growth that we're seeing in our channel community is just absolutely incredible. So, I'm excited about the path forward for us as a company. I'm also quite excited to get out of the situation we're in right now with COVID, because I kind of miss the social elements of my job.
We all know the channel is a very sociable place to be, which is great. I mean, on your channel, obviously you said incredible growth. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and how has that growth gone throughout this sort of lockdown/pandemic period?
You know, it's one of the things that astounded me. So when COVID started kicking off at the beginning of the year, it was in our Q4. You know, we're looking at a big number for our founder, and I got a little bit nervous. We had a record number in UK coming up to the end of March. Our partners in the public sector side of the organization absolutely obliterated any number we thought we would ever achieve out of that community. And then I thought, okay, well, that bit's done now. Now it's going to be really stagnant around demand gen and just making sure that tap stays on for new opportunities in the channel. When I have a look at our dashboards around what kind of opportunity we've generated over the last 2.5-3 months since we've been in lockdown, our partners that have adapted to the new way of working, and they've got a software business, and they've got a networking connectivity business, and they've got a UCCC business, they're just taking a product to market that was kind of built for this kind of pandemic. So, you know, for us to be sitting in a world of, and I'll steal this analogy from John, be sitting in the middle of a drought when we've got a warehouse full of water, our partners are loving the fact that they can take a platform to market that's fit for purpose and fit for right now.
Yeah. So it's been a busy time for you.
I don't think I've ever worked this much, Dave. I no longer have an hour commute to get into our Relay London building. So I'm sitting at my desk by 7:30, normally only leaving at about the same time in the PM. But productivity's been through the roof. I think the hardest part has been trying to manage that work-life balance, because your work is now sitting in your living room or your office.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a family sitting in the other room who are demanding a little bit more of my attention than I'm able to give at the moment as well. But, you know, we've all got problems. Okay, so look, tell me, you've heard a phrase that keeps been thrown around the market called the new normal. What does the new normal mean to Keith Jackson? And, you know, how much of this sort of behavior we're seeing in these last few months, how much of that is going to stick?
Do you know what I think? The whole phrase of new normal is quite relevant. Look, there's a lot of us in the channel community that have worked from home for the last decade, right? I think even for those of us that have been working from home, have found that we've had to adapt, because having your office now in your home 24/7 and always being able to turn on is great, but my commute's 10 seconds that way, right? So I think the current environment's probably going to be around for a hell of a long time. I think people are kind of expecting come September, when kids go back to school, the world's all of a sudden going to go back to normal. I don't think it is. And if you think what new businesses starting up now, how tough that's going to be. A new business a year ago, what's the first thing they used to go out looking for? It was a bit of property or premise or where they're going to locate themselves. That's probably the furthest thing from their mind right now. The first thing they're going to be looking for is, what is my communications platform going to look like? How the hell am I going to interact with people if we go back into a full-blown lockdown again? So I think things are going to be tough for the next year, because I don't think we're going to go back into normality and what it was. I don't know if we're ever going to go back to that. But I'm kind of liking this new normal. I'm looking forward to getting back onto the golf course again with some of our channel partners and friends. But yeah, it's an adaptation time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, obviously no one could have predicted the pandemic and the impact it would have had, not just on the UK, but globally. I mean, have we learned any lessons, having all gone into this remote scenario at breakneck speed, very, very quickly? What have we learned since sort of February, March time when this all sort of kicks off?
I think the biggest lesson we've learned of has been every manager's director's biggest fear for the last 10, 20 years is, can I trust my staff if they're working from home? I think every one of the director told us got supporting BUs standing underneath them thinks, if I let somebody work from home, they're going to spend 2 hours working and the other half of that day either playing PlayStation or being at the driving range or washing their cars, whatever it may be. I think organizations have learned that you can actually trust people to do what they do for a living from their home offices. I think with the technology, the way things have adapted, having video sessions like this and IM and collaboration and even having contact center agents being able to work from home, it's proved that having big shiny buildings isn't always the greatest thing on the planet. Take a look what Twitter's done. If you want to, for the rest of eternity, you can work from home. Just think what those buildings are costing organizations on a monthly, yearly basis. I think the biggest thing, trust. Just let your people work from where they need to.
Yeah, it's that's absolutely a huge one. The number of people that have reported back to me that not only has efficiency not dropped, in quite a few cases it's increased during the last few months. It's incredible to see. It's absolutely fantastic.
We've seen that. I mean, Vic Verma, our CEO, gave us a briefing a couple of weeks ago, and our developer side of the organization, like the guys actually physically writing code, their operational efficiency is up 8-9%. The amount of error in lines of code, the amount of bug fixes we've got to do on a software release is just falling off of a cliff. Because I think when you're sitting at home, you're 100% focused on what you're doing. I mean, again, I miss that social element of being able to throw a ball at someone in the office or something along that line, just having that bit of interaction. But I've never been this operationally efficient in my life. Like, I've actually got notes on everything I'm doing at the moment because it's all here at the same time, no distractions.
Yeah. Are you seeing any U-turns in that? Obviously, people had to make these decisions to go to whatever technology they went to back in March. Are you seeing people sort of coming back to that decision and changing or making a bit of a U-turn here and there?
Absolutely. I think a lot of organizations moved to the most convenient platform that they could get to a home working environment as quickly as they physically could. Like, I take the organization that my mum works for. They supply PPE and all of this kind of stuff into the NHS and doctors. They had to get to home as quickly as they physically could. And their existing provider gave them a solution that allowed them to do that. Mm-hmm. Has it been the most efficient thing that they could have ever done? Probably not. But now is the time that people have realized that this isn't a short fix, right? It's not a 3, 6, 9 week story. This is most likely the next couple of years story that we're going to be living in. So now, I'm not going to say everyone, but most organizations are going to go back and start vetting the choices that they've made. Is it security compliant? Is it scalable? Is the quality right, et cetera, et cetera? And that's where I think some people will make a bit of a U-turn on platforms that they've chosen and look for something a little bit more reliable and a little bit more secure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned security there. Have these businesses got their head in that security aspect? And having an entirely remote workforce, to me, sounds like a security nightmare. What's your take?
My take on it is it's probably the best time to be a channel partner. Because when I have a look at the channel community, that over the last 10 years, so go all the way back to the financial crisis, right? The channel partners that have evolved and started building out software practices and connectivity practices and UC practices, and more recently, security practices, they're the ones that are going to be able to guide their customers down the correct route of, have you got the right software applications on all of your devices? Is the traffic secure? Is the vendor you're going with secure? So for us, our channel partners are thriving in this market because there's so many different elements that organizations have to consider. Security, a big one, absolutely. And then from a collaboration and communication space, is it fit for purpose? Is the quality good? Can my people still work as if they were in the office? So great time to be a channel partner right now.
Yeah. Do you think there's any sort of skills gap in the channel regarding security? Obviously, you get your channel partners that sell all this sort of UC into the market, and you get your security specialist. Is there a gap there? Is this the big opportunity?
I think so. I mean, to be honest, when I look at our channel community at the moment, there's very little of them only do voice or only do contact center. All of them have started diversifying because they've had to. Because you look at the market over the last 10 years, it's been up, down, and security goes through the roof, and then contact center goes through the roof. There's always a product that's needed right now. And I think with the new version of distributors that are coming out, your master agent types, where they're taking security vendor specialists and contact center and UC, et cetera, and opening that up to the partner community so they can leverage the vendor's expertise to take that into their customer community. It's making a lot of our partners a hell of a lot more efficient in how they engage with their customers. Because they don't have to be the 100% expert in a specific vertical. They just need to know enough where they need to identify the opportunity. Then they can roll us in when they need it.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I mean, let's talk about the next sort of 6 to 12 months. You know, in 8x8, obviously, we're seeing really rapid product development across the industry right now. What's coming out of the 8x8 camp in the near future that you can tell us?
It's always a tricky one when we start talking about the roadmap. But John, the one thing that I'm most proud of, when I have a look at what the platform's done over the last even 2 or 3 years and how far it's come, we own the entire technology stack. So we're not having to go and figure out, okay, we were a contact center company. Crap, we now need a UC element. How do we tie that in? Or how do we tie collaboration in? For us, it's more about making those products more immersed in each other. So take a look at the voice analytics we've got on our contact center side. That's going to be moving into our UC practice. So being able to be a director and go, I want to search for that key phrase across my entire organization. And I'm a financial advisor. Has our compliance statement been read every single time? Just put that in. That used to be a heavy contact center with a big price tag feature. We're going to bring that into the UC side of our platform.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, when you start looking at things like compliance and operational efficiencies and are we doing everything correctly, you're not just getting the window view of what's happening in the contact center. You've got that across the entire business. Because we all get clever when we try calling these contact centers. You know that it's probably easier to go through the main reception number and then get pushed into a queue because it's an internal transfer, so it's going to be a quicker throughput. Customers are getting clever. So we need to be able to analyze and vet both sides of that. So I think that for me is one of the coolest features that we've got coming out over the next couple of months.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of speculation going on about the state of the channel, obviously, especially the state of the channel post-COVID, I should say, and what that's going to look like. Now, I'm interested on your opinion. Obviously, there's a lot of opportunity there. Whether the channel will be able to grasp all of it is another question. You know, what's your feeling? What are we gonna look like as a market after all of this?
Okay, cool. So the state of the channel for me is those that have either evolved and adapted already are going to continue to succeed and just see that organic growth go through the roof. The guys that are still trying to be a one-trick pony and live off of a maintenance base or live off of their minutes traffic, et cetera, I think they're going to see hard times over the coming months. But when I look at the partner community of ours that's growing rapidly, and you start having a look across the rest of the channel community that are still seeing growth in these unprecedented times, they've got multiple business units inside their organizations. They're not just specializing in one element. When you start talking about things like security, connectivity, contact center, UC, these are the markets that are booming at the moment. So the guys that are either in that market or getting into it very quickly because they're a software house, those are the partners that are going to thrive over the next 12 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what's your message, I guess, to some of those partners that might not be that forward thinking? I mean, hopefully by this point in where do we sit? Beginning of June, hopefully a few changes and decisions. But what's your overriding message to them?
I think it's pick a vendor that you like that can take you on this journey for the next 12 to 18 months. You know, we probably won't be the right fit for every single partner that comes into our community. But find someone that you like, find someone that you can trust and work with that's got the backup and the resource and the support to support you across this journey that you're about to start making. Because this is a market that's booming. You know, every year it goes 40 billion, 50 billion, 70 billion. The numbers are crazy. When you got that many zeros as an addressable market, now's the time to get on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the market's just accelerated. Here's an interesting one, actually. People have different number for this question, but obviously the market has made a huge leap forward in the last 3 months. How much further forward do you think we've gone as an industry? How long would it have taken us under normal circumstances to get where we are today, do you think?
I think we've killed 2 years of hanging around waiting. I know we've got the whole ISDN switch off, etc., etc. Like, these things are starting to drive adoption. But the biggest adoption that was going to drive was ISDN to SIP trunk. People are still going to be leveraging old platforms that are sitting in a cupboard somewhere gathering dust. This has probably terrified most CIOs. I mean, you think, how many people ever tested their pandemic policy?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got this nice, cool policy written on a piece of paper, hidden in someone's legal drawer. Has anyone ever actually tested, like, if we told everybody to go home, could they do it? I mean, we tested it a few times before the official lockdown came in. And it's encouraging to know that most things generally just worked. We realized some people's laptops needed to be replaced because they were maybe a little bit too old. But the platforms kept going. And that's the part that really makes me smile.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've heard, very few people will have tested that pandemic policy. And those that did have been in the UC field like yourselves, or were forced to by some other reason. So, anyway, encouraging times. Okay, Keith, getting towards the end of the interview there. I mean, do you want to leave any final words before we wrap up and continue on our working journeys?
Well, first, thanks, Dave. Thanks for taking the time, and appreciate you hanging around while I reset my internet connection and get jumping back on. But I think I'll leave you with these words. It's for the channel community that's sitting out there in the UK, Europe, and going internationally. Now's the time to get on board with a UC and a CC vendor. And like I said, pick someone that you like, pick someone that's easy to work with, pick someone that's got a program that's going to work for you, regardless of how you want to contract with your customers. This is the time to start making money in this industry. And a lot of the vendors are doing what we're doing. We're providing enablement. We're providing go-to-market. Utilize the expertise and get onto this train, because it's going to be around for a while.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much. And thank you for watching. You've been watching Business Live with me, David Dungay, and Keith Jackson from 8x8. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, Dave.